Welcome everyone to another CTC software webinar. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Nexus product. We're going to go over a comprehensive introduction and overview of the Nexus collection of tools as a whole. As always, of course, our presentations, our webinars, they are recorded. So you can come back to this in the future, review it, share it with other team members, you name it. Now, if you are watching this on our YouTube channel, we hope to earn a like and a subscribe from you, of course, you know, all the whole social media things. But for those of you who are joining us live, we keep an eye on the questions window. So it's a good incentive to be here with us live. Feel free to throw questions in there about the topic today, and we will be more than happy to try to answer those in line in the presentation, or if not in the presentation, at a QA session at the end that doesn't actually make it into the recording. Without further ado, let's jump right on in and start talking about this Nexus product as a whole. So we're going to be discovering quite a bit here today, talking about the power of the Nexus Suite, the whole collection. This is intended to be a connected ecosystem to kind of help streamline the whole design, collaboration, data management thing across basically all of our design environments, CAD and BIM, all. We're going to be talking about the core modules. We're going to be digging into PAL, Ally, CMS, some of the API stuff. And it's all going to be surface level, but we're going to be discussing how they unify that content delivery and kind of help you see what's going on, get some insights into your project workflows and manage your performance across the whole environment. Now, if you're a BIM manager, fantastic. This is absolutely for you. If you're a designer, being aware of how this works is good for you as well. If you're an IT administrator, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the infrastructure today. But if you're an IT administrator / BIM manager, of course, you definitely want to know how this stuff works because it's going to help you better understand how your team works together. So we're going to cover a few things today. We're going to start by talking just about the understanding of what modules exist. We're going to explore some of the cross-platform content management stuff in one of those modules. We're going to take a look at identifying strategies for data consistency in a couple of the modules, and then we're going to take a look at how we can learn from some of the information that's available here to automate and analyze some of these workflows, and even automate, like I said, automate some of the workflows here. Now we're going to start by just taking a look at the key modules within Nexus. I'm going to start by breaking this down to a super basic level here. I want to start at the lowest possible level, specifically because, like, if I can't just simplify this, you know what's going on, obviously I don't understand it, right? And that'll be true internally for us talking to our other team members as well. We need to simplify this down so that they understand, they feel comfortable when we're trying to get them to really feel kind of comfortable with a solution as a whole. So let's take a look at what the key modules of Nexus are. First off, taking a look at Ally. This is designed to be just-in-time standards logging and enforcement. The whole goal here is that it's in the background, it's non-intrusive, it just sits there and watches while the users work so that we as BIM managers can be more informed and we can communicate just in time with the end users while they're working. We're going to dig deeper into that here in just a moment. We're also going to be taking a look at the CMS, the content management system. This is designed to be a platform agnostic content delivery system. You can put pretty much whatever you want in there. Your standards, Revit content, AutoCAD Civil 3D content, Dynamo content, you name it, materials, you can put that in the CMS and deliver that to your team and also manage the access. We'll dig more deeply into that as well here in a moment. The Project Activity Logger, PAL toolkit, is designed to help you monitor and log the performance of the Revit project model environment. I'm very specific about that right now. Today, it is the Revit project model environment. This does not currently log information in the AutoCAD space. It's primarily for the Revit space, but it does help you understand how those models are opening and saving. We'll dig deeper into that here in a moment as well. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the APIs that are available. All of these REST APIs that we offer within the Nexus Suite, they are purposefully delivered so that you can build whatever you want for analytics, for automation, whatever integrations you want in multiple different systems. The whole goal is that you get to choose, you get to direct exactly what you want. So let's dig a little more deeply into one of these modules. We're going to take a look at the cross-platform content management workflows just a bit more deeply here. Starting with this, Bill Gates back in, I think it was 96, said content is king. Now, he was referring to web-based content, but in our case, we're talking, of course, about Revit and design content. Content is king, but content itself, by itself, isn't actually just king, right? Gary Vaynerchuk said, content is king, but context is God, right? The context of when somebody needs something, when they need a particular detail, it's not just that they need a detail, it's a specific detail because the context they're in. The ability to discover that particular detail, the ability to find a particular door or a particular piece of electrical or mechanical equipment, that has relevance, right? Because the context in which they're working matters, and they should be absolutely able to find what they need when they need it. So introducing here the Nexus CMS, the content management system. This is designed to be a centralized, single authoritative location for all of your content, Revit families, Civil 3D styles, templates for both products, detail components, other assets that you're going to need, PDFs, pretty much anything you want, you can put into the Nexus CMS environment. If you're an AutoCAD, you can 100% replace your tool palettes. You can replace a lot of your ribbon customizations, if not all of it, because it can hold macros for AutoCAD. It can do so much that you can truly have a unified single one-stop shopping point for all of your users, whether they're Revit or AutoCAD based. This is also a super granular solution. You want to make sure that the appropriate team members are able to find the content that they need, that is discoverable to them, that they can consume it without the need to go through folders upon folders upon folders of stuff they don't need, right? So my Revit teams probably don't need access to civil content. My civil teams don't need access to Revit content. The standards split up that I want to do, I have standards for Revit workflow, standards for civil workflows. You can split these apart. You can make this really granular to be sure that you're giving the correct access to the correct team members. And whether that's by user, by team, by office, by project, really it depends on how you want to set this up. It's super customizable for your environment. That's the whole purpose here. Now, a lot of us work in fragmented environments where our workforce doesn't just work in a single office. Now, some of us do work all from a single office. That's totally fine. But if you're working from remote workforces, multiple offices, you name it, the hosting aspect of the Nexus CMS makes this really, really easy. It is a secure environment, and it's set up so that you can deploy this and really meet the vast majority of IT and security policies in the industry right now. And you're still maintaining consistent user experiences no matter where the people work from. They don't have to necessarily remote desktop in and have a slower connection, whether it's VPN or remote desktop or you name it. Like, they can be working from the standard workstation, the standard computer, the laptop, the mobile PC, whatever that they're used to working from, because the Nexus product, if you allow it to do so, can host a lot of your content or all of your content in its environment so that it's deployed to all users in a uniform way. Whether they're in the office, out of the office, at a, in a job trailer on site, doesn't matter. They'll be able to get access to all of this. There's also a huge amount of metadata that's automatically built in, but also the ability for you to subcategorize and tag so that everything within this environment can be searched. Once again, going back to that quote, context is king, right? I need to be able to search based on what I'm thinking at the moment for the context I'm working in, to be able to find and consume the file, the specific content and content collection that I need. There is no need for manual folder digging, those deep folder structures, especially for you, the BIM managers, maintaining multiple version years of content. You don't have to do that. The metadata here allows it to be automatically organized, categorized. You can tag it further if you need to, and all of that is searchable. So hugely beneficial system. Now, in other webinars from CTC, we've dug super deep into the actual usage of the Nexus CMS. We've dug into the administration, the user side, deep demo of just that particular tool, we encourage you to go take a look at those on our YouTube channel. And we have upcoming webinars as well, where we're going to be re-recording some of those and reintroducing certain aspects of the CMS product itself. Let's take and step on to the next area here and talk a lot about data consistency, information consistency. We're going to identify issues in our environment and also identify opportunities for training our team members to help them work better, okay? Peter Drucker specifically says, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Another way of saying this, I think somebody else paraphrased it saying, what gets measured gets managed, right? Instead of having these emotional responses to, I think this doesn't feel good, the goal is to actually have actionable numbers on things. I can see my project performs this way. I can see my users are doing this thing. And maybe it's something I don't want them to be doing because it has adverse effects to the performance of the model. Before, we've had some difficulty proving that. When somebody explodes CAD, we think that has adverse effects on the model. But now, because I can measure the performance of the model before the explode, I can know when the explode took place, I can measure the actual model performance change, especially changes over time as more and more and more CAD gets exploded or imported or whatever. That is a measurable thing. And you can prove to yourself and to the rest of your team that this is a real thing. You're not just talking about an emotional response or I don't like this because I don't like this. It's I don't like it because it's actually slowing us down as a company. And so there's two toolkits that we use in tandem. The first toolkit that I'm going to talk about here is the one called Nexus PAL, or Project Activity Logger if we're going long form. The PAL toolkit allows us to do a couple of things. We can track the performance of models, things like the open time, the sync to central time, save times, close times, time spent in views in the model. You can track this type of performance, just numbers and times, that typically is just lost, right? This isn't stuff like how many items I have of certain things in the model. This is how much time, which is something that can be only captured in the moment during the event of authoring, during that task. If I can know last week the model took this long to open and today it takes this long to open, some longer time frame, I can kind of go back in time and start to look what changed between then and now. But you have to have those metrics captured in the moment, because when I open the model right now, how long that takes for me in my environment could be different than the environment that I had a week or two or three ago. And so knowing the history and knowing some of those performance key values is really kind of important. Now, also, there's other things that we can track. And again, this stuff is good to know over time. You can capture a lot of this stuff in the moment as well, but having it captured over time to understand how it's changed is really important to understand the health, right? Just like when we're going into the doctor and they're, checking our weight and checking our blood pressure and recording that over time. Yes, I can know that it's bad right now, but I can also see if there was a trend towards leading to the point that I'm at right now, or if it's just an anomaly, right? So it tracks the file size, tracks warning counts, different kinds of element counts, some of the sync history as far as how many objects were added in each individual sync session. And this way you can reveal some of those degradation trends to the health. Or if there is no degradation, prove that actions you're taking are having a consistent impact or a positive impact on the health if it's getting better and better, in case it isn't degrading, which is ideal, right? That's the whole goal, is not having degrading health. You can review all of this information in some online dashboards where you can visualize this very easily. Now, these dashboards are kind of static, right? They're stock dashboards that we provide. If you want to customize them, we'll be taking a look at that in a minute. But these performance trends are still identifiable in these dashboards. It gives you sort of an intuitive interface where you can very easily go in there and say, hey, this particular project gives me this kind of performance. I can see this. I can see when these people are working on a project that the performance is like this, and these other people, the performance is this other thing. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. I can check some habits this way. I can see that because I'm visualizing this model health and the model performance over time. That is huge. And this really does help you to identify what those trends are. Is there a degradation in performance at certain milestones of the project? Is there degradations when certain people get on the project? That's a reality in some cases. Is there degradation when certain actions get taken on a certain project, like importing or exploding AutoCAD? You can prove those things out so it stops being an emotional thing and it becomes much more proactive, much more actionable. It also is important to identify these because you can take action as a BIM manager well before stuff goes nuclear, right? When things have gone off the rails and people start complaining, you're already gone to emergency mode. But if you can identify earlier on that something is maybe getting closer to that and that you need to take some actions to fix it, that can save a whole lot of headache, a whole lot of emergency stress, right? That's huge. And the PAL, the project activity logger, helps you do that because it's tracking passively in the background. And that is information that you can visualize very easily in some stock dashboards, right away, immediately upon install. That information starts becoming available. Now, the other tool here that's a good companion is the Nexus Ally. These are really kind of friendly tools. Air quoting on my side, you can't see that, but there's a PAL and there's an ally, right? There's your friends that are there to help you, especially as BIM managers. Now, the Ally toolkit is there to do some relevant user interactions within Revit. This is where I was talking about things like the exploding of AutoCAD or importing of AutoCAD or in-place modeling or moving things down to the category that maybe you care to track. These are all things that you can do. You can choose how much information you want to log. Now, the important thing about this is that this toolkit is designed to be lightweight. It operates silently in the background. It's not designed to disrupt user productivity. Now, anytime you have add-ins, things sometimes can be a little slower than normal because stuff has to be captured and logged. And when it's in the moment, say they're using the nudge arrow on the keyboard to, move something around, each of those is considered a move command. They might notice just a little bit, but usually most users, depending on how deep you go into the logging, really, they don't usually notice the actual impact of Ally because it's designed to be lightweight. It's constantly being improved. Now, the other aspect of Ally is you have the ability to interact with the end user. And when they're taking an action that maybe you deem not as beneficial to the model as other actions, you can prompt them in the moment. It's like standing over their shoulder, and when they make a choice to do something that could be harmful to the model's performance, you can put some messaging there to guide them towards a better workflow. Whether that messaging is saying, go to the Nexus CMS to find a more appropriate detail instead of exploding this AutoCAD content, or something else, you can guide them in the moment when you're ready to, when that command is actually triggered in the moment, just in time, as we like to say. And again, this is 100% flexible. You as administrators can select exactly what commands, which workflows to monitor across project teams, across users, across the whole organization if you really want to. It is up to you to decide how you implement this, but the goal is that when you make that choice, it just happens in the background. The end user continues to work like normal, and unless you you decide to pop a message just in time, they typically don't even know that it's happening. It just exists there. So that's really key, right? That you can customize this. You can capture project performance data and also user interactions, user actions live in the modeling environment, all in real time. Now, I've been talking a lot about certain data that is captured. The Nexus CMS has information that it captures. The project activity logger has information that it captures. Ally has information that it captures. And information really is super important because we need to be able to take that and consume that. Now, again, we've got some stock online dashboards, but many of my customers have decided that they want to integrate this differently in their environment. And so they want to automate certain workflows. They want to automate project creation tasks. They want to automate and marry up different analytical information. And so we're going to take a look here as to how you could do that within your environment in exactly the way that you want to be able to do it. So Peter Sondergaard specifically said, information is the oil of the 21st century. And specifically, analytics is the combustion engine, right? So like the whole goal back during the industrial age, where we got these engines and we got away from horsepower and got into like the actual horse animal power and got into steam engines and got into combustion engines. That really helped advance us in this whole modern day of engineering. Heck, many of us drive vehicles, right? A lot of us have, almost all of us have cars. And we're driving them around. That combustion engine is huge to get us from point A to point B. That's massive, right? And so now in our environment here in the 21st century, information and analytics is the new oil and gas in the engines, right? That's key. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about some automation first, and then I'm going to talk about taking all of the information and marrying it up in a couple of different ways. Now, first up, when you install Nexus, you have access to what we call the BIM Desktop Automation API. This is your local desktop space. This is within your Revit environment in the actual modeling space. The automation API, the desktop automation API, gives you access to all of the Revit sessions. And when the Nexus system is installed, that Nexus ecosystem, it gives you a really secure RESTful endpoint, real-time RESTful endpoint. A REST, if you want to go take a look at that, is basically a way to interact with different applications and different data systems and different automation systems. It's sort of a universal language that allows you, kind of regardless of what scripting engine you want to use, what programming engine you want to use, you can pretty much interact with it in a lot of different ways to get information out and to push information back in. And that's really key. This truly is a bi-directional system. You can pull data, you can push data, you can create information, you can make modeling changes directly within the Revit environment, but you can use this RESTful API to do that. Super powerful. And I mentioned before, its architecture is set up to support pretty much any language you want and any type of interaction you want, whether it's just workflow automation or whether you want to start talking, maybe you're a company who wants to build your own internal like large language model and be able to use that internal privatized language model to interact with your Revit production environment, to ask it questions. Sky is literally the limit here. You can go as far as you want to go with this using this RESTful API and telling it to interact with a lot of different systems. You want to use ChatGPT? Fantastic. Marry that up with your Revit data so you can actually ChatGPT your Revit project model and have it help you if you want to go there, or build in a stock scripted workflow that is start to finish a certain thing like project startup or whatever you want. And again, this desktop automation API is super lightweight. This thing runs seamlessly right alongside Revit. If you're not using it, it has no impact. If you are using it, it's helping you with these automations. It's not compromising anything in the way of performance within the Revit working environment when that API is not doing anything. And obviously when it is doing something, it's taking actions on behalf of you or your end users to automate some kind of a workflow. So it's incredibly powerful. We have a specific dedicated webinar that was just recently done on this desktop automation API. We encourage you, if you have some interest in this, go take a look at it, review that, kind of see what this means for you. And if you want more information, we always encourage you to kind of reach out to CTC. We're here to help partner with you as you're working through some of the things that you want to automate within your environment in your custom ways. In addition to the desktop automation API, there is a portal automation API, which I'm not going to talk about really today. We have other webinars that do talk about that. What I am going to talk more deeply about today is the reporting API, because I've been talking so much about data here, the data around the project health, the data around user interactions, the data around the content in your CMS and how users are searching it and how they're interacting with it, right? We want to make sure that you have 100% transparency. So within this Nexus ecosystem, the CMS, the project activity logger, the ally data, all of that is collected to a single little collection of API endpoints that lets you get access to all of this information. This includes like I was mentioning, everything about content metadata, user activity logs, performance data about the projects, workflow compliance data from Ally, all the standards enforcement results, all of this information is available in a single environment for you to leverage however you want. And when I say leverage however you want, if you want to bring this into other systems like Power BI, Tableau, Qlik, Excel, SQL Server, I don't care, you name it, you can bring this information anywhere, because once again, this is using a RESTful API, the same type of interaction we use for the desktop side, but it's letting you very quickly and very efficiently get this information. And where this becomes really powerful, none of us are siloed in just Revit or just content management or just this or just that. We always have a ton of other information. We have timekeeping, we have HR systems, we have other organizational insights, project management toolkits. This API allows you to build and kind of manage this data, you know, juggling all this information from all these different content silos. You can bring it all together into whatever system you want and really blend data, taking our analytics, merging that with financial or project management, like I said, HR systems, building performance data in the future, like you name it. You can mesh and meld all this information together, because a lot of systems in the industry use these RESTful APIs, and bringing this data together in something like Power BI or Tableau or, you know, whatever you want, you make that choice. All right. So there is a huge amount of information that is available to you to begin to dig more deeply into. Now, for those of you, again, watching this within the YouTube environment, I do once again want to say thank you. We always appreciate when you take your time to watch our little recorded sessions. It's fantastic. So thank you guys very much. And we do encourage you to come back for more in the future. Subscribe to the channel, like it, you know, all the things. See when there's more of these types of presentations that are coming up. So we look forward to seeing you all again.